welcome to my exercise system. I just wrote on myself on accident. But this is gonna be my exercising system. Now, this is a video I hadn't actually thought about doing, but this is a recommendation from you guys in the comments that came up multiple times. So thank you so much for the recommendation. This is part of my system series. We've done task management, time management, money management, meal management, which is very related to exercise. I'm sure if you're interested in exercise, you're also interested in the food one as well. So this system that I'm about to get into is specifically for very busy and lazy people whose number one priority isn't working out, but they still want to be healthy. So in all of these systems videos, which I've been doing, and it is in this journal, there's a whole introductory section with philosophy and stuff at the beginning of this planner. We have this concept of expanding things in life that are meaningful to you. Amazing hobbies, a passion project, relationships, travel, trying new things, trying new food, the zest of your life. We're trying to make space for that. But the way we make space for that is we have to minimize everything else. And so as I've talked about in all these videos, what is a priority and meaningful to one person isn't to another person. So in the case of exercise, for some people, this might be like your passion in life, you're a personal trainer. And in that case, I'm not talking to someone like that. I'm talking to someone whose passion in life is not exercise, but they want to be healthy. So my answer to things like this minimize everything else, is what I've called MVRs, or minimum viable routines. If something is not a priority to you, minimize it absolutely as much as you possibly can while it's still viable. We want to still be healthy. We don't want to, slip into being completely unhealthy. So it needs to be viable. So you have to figure out that point for yourself. Where is it minimum, the absolutely minimum it can possibly be, that is still viable? Because if your routines do not work when you're feeling lazy, then your routines don't work. So right from the beginning, as far as a philosophy goes, my husband was an Equinox personal trainer for a time, health coach certified and all these things. So I get some of these things from him, but I'm not the exercise person. I'm the systems person. I can tell you how to take your goals and make them more efficient and take less time, but I'm not like the fitness expert in and of myself. So things that I've come to value: getting 10,000 steps a day, getting in cardio, and getting in strength training. Those are kind of the basics. But we don't want it to take over our entire life. Those, what I just mentioned, in and of themselves can expand and expand and expand. You can be lifting weights 5-7 times a week for, some people are doing it like for an hour. I mean, you can expand it, but we're trying to minimize it as much as possible. So the first easy way is to combine it with other things. That's the absolute easiest way. Instead of taking time out of your day to go to the gym where you're doing it in and of itself, multitasking with things that are not priorities to us are a really good way to do this. So the first thing that I do, this is just easy. I do a walk after dinner every day with my husband, and I'm calling this multitasking because the next video will be relationship routines, and I'll talk about like specific ways that we have meaningful, deep conversations. But it's two birds with one stone. I'm catching up with Garrett, and I'm also getting in some steps per day. So I think the walk I do, it's not super significant. I think it's maybe 5,000 steps in and of itself. And I've heard that there's some research that really you just need 7,000 steps to get the full benefits. So I shoot for 10,000, and then in reality, I'll probably end up at 7,000. So I like to just kind of shoot higher. So a walk after dinner, that's something super easy. It's not extremely vigorous. It's not gonna, you have to put on this whole new outfit to go surfing. Some hobbies are kind of intensive, but it's something that's very easy. It's very light that you could do. The second thing, another form of multitasking, is being active on the way, kind of like on the go things. And what I mean by being active on the way is I specifically I've made choices to structure my life in such a way that make walking and biking easy. So for example, when I lived in Boise, I lived maybe a mile from the school, and I did that intentionally so that I could bike to work. So you're getting in some cardio, you're getting in some exercise on the way to work. Same thing when I moved to San Francisco. When I was teaching in San Francisco, I would bike to work. I think it was maybe 3 miles. And I did it very intentionally. I had the choice to commute in. I would have had a relatively easy drive commute in. But I chose to be close to my work so that walking, I like to have everything all in one spot. I like to have my friends in the neighborhood, my work in the neighborhood. I like to be very localized. Another thing is I specifically chose San Francisco because, speaking in the US, not that the bar is very high for the US, but speaking for the US, it has good public transit. So walking to the subway adds in steps. I don't have a car. It's a very dense city, small geographically. It's not sprawling suburban. So walking everywhere is just built in. It's a very hilly city, so I'm getting a lot of hill walking in. You might call that some light strength training. But the third one which I think is the one that's made all the difference, really. And I'll get into a fourth one as well that's kind of like extra credit. But a third one is getting a hobby that is physically strenuous. And I don't mean pursue it for the sake of exercise. If it's first and foremost exercise and secondarily it's a hobby, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for me. It needs to be something that's primarily a hobby and it's secondarily exercise. So I'm thinking like surfing, skiing. My husband is in several volleyball leagues. I do dancing. That's my big thing. I get probably 20,000 steps 3 or 4 days of the week just because I'm dancing so much. But you have to see it primarily as a hobby. If you pursue it for exercise first and foremost, it'll eventually drop off because you don't really like it. But if you love it and it's a hobby first, then that'll work. So I recommend a hobby 3 days a week or so that's very active. And so we could stop here. For a lot of people, I recommend stopping here. If it's not your primary goal, you're not obsessed with fitness, not your life passion, this will, if you do these things, you can get 10,000 steps a day, you can get cardio easy. Depending on what the hobby is, you're getting a strength element in there if you're doing hill walking like I'm doing. The fourth thing is I do value strength training. If I'm in a phase where fitness is like a primary goal, sometimes it's just kind of back burner, and that's what I'm talking about here. But when I'm in a phase where fitness is a primary goal, I will bring in strength training. I might go to the gym 3 times a week during lunch or something. My husband, for example, it's a primary goal of his. He works out 5 days a week during lunch. There's like a gym where he works, so he's able to work out there. And so I would say a thing with fitness is it needs to be as frictionless as possible. When I have to go to the gym, I'm a lot less likely to stick with it. If I'm in a lazy mood, I'm a lot less likely to go. So if it's close to you, again, keeping everything very locally contained, then it's a lot better than if I gotta drive 20 minutes to get there. And I know some people, it just depends on what your priorities are. Some people will drive 20 minutes out of their way to save $20 a month on a membership, but it's just a matter of, do you prioritize your time or your money more? And to me, time is a more valuable resource. If you cut out $20 a month in other places, that's very easy to switch things around. So if fitness is a primary focus in my life, I'll do little challenges. I think you've seen different challenge videos that I'll do. So I've done fitness challenges myself before. Sometimes that includes going to work out at a gym. Sometimes that's at home, like 3 sets of 10, and I'll have like arm day or leg day or things like that. It just depends on where you're at and your focus. For me, this is great most of the time. For most people, a lot of the time, this is great. Combine this with the meal system that I have, and it's just very easy. It's very easy to get 10,000 steps a day doing this on average. So thank you for recommending for me to talk about my exercise system, because I never would have thought about it, honestly. If you have any other recommendations, I've got a relationship one coming up, and I've been loving these series. So just keep the recommendations coming. I'm really loving it. If you're interested in all the other systems videos I've done, I will have the playlist linked here. Go ahead and click on that, peruse, see what you're interested in. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.